talking Premier League rivalries as Manchester City and Arsenal's continues to simmer despite that 2-2 draw taking place a week ago, today rather, at the Etihad. What are the ingredients then, Darren Lewis, for a good Premier League rivalry, and why are these two hitting the mark at the moment?
Well, the first word I'd use is consistency, and both of these two teams are showing it in abundance. City, obviously, with 6 titles in the last 7 years, 4 in a row, and Arsenal as the coming power, knocking at that door time and again. Terrific defensive record. We've done the numbers in terms of their improvement at set pieces, and because they are the ones knocking at the door, they rattle, and I use that word advisedly, but they appear to have rattled City's players, and I'm being specific about that because I know there's a great relationship between Guardiola and Arteta, but in terms of the players, we've seen the enmity last week in the game. We saw the bust-up at the end. We saw the words between Haaland and Arteta, Haaland and some of the younger players. We saw the throwing of the ball at the back of the head of Gabriel. And I always think with a good rivalry, you're always looking to see when the return fixture is.
Which is?
February.
There you go. It's interesting, Carve, because Manchester City had a lot to say after the game. Their players had a lot to say. Are they, as Darren says, rattled? Do they see, can they feel Arsenal in their rearview mirror?
I mean, you say they had a lot to say. They had a lot to say when they were asked questions. They didn't come out and just say, we're going to have a pop at the Arsenal players. You know, journalists were asking good questions, getting good responses out of them. I can't believe that we're still talking about this game a week after it. I mean, it's still back page news every day. The best thing I've read recently about the fallout from the game was in Troy Deeney's column in The Sun yesterday. And Troy Deeney, somebody who's got history with Arsenal fans. I think when he was at Watford, he accused Arsenal, was it, of being weak and soft. In his column yesterday, he accused Bernardo Silva of squealing. He also said that if Haaland had directed his be humble comments at Troy when Troy was playing, Troy would have been waiting for him in the tunnel and there would have been some action. And he finishes off by saying, if I was an Arsenal player, I'd put 2 fingers up to the world. They're no longer soft, and I quite like it. Football has become a bit sterile and boring. Everyone is nice and lovely. Is it not about winning? Mikel Arteta is tired of finishing second. He's told his players to toughen up, and they've listened to him.
And actually, I think that was the best point that Mikel Arteta made during the week was when he spoke about a game 2021 where Granit Xhaka got sent off at the Etihad and Arsenal lost 5-0. And the perception then was, well, they're a bit flaky and, you know, get a goal up, or in certain situations they will always fold. Whereas last week, you know, you can make what you want of some of the outhousery, but they stood up to City and didn't back down. You know, they were defensive, but they didn't back down in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got no issue with the way that they played. I don't even have that much of an issue with some of the delaying tactics. We've seen it a million times in football. We've seen it in other leagues as well. And Arsenal have learned that in moments like that, you have to do what you can to find a way to win. Had there been 11 against 11, actually, they've given City a real good game at a ground where they hadn't lost for 47 matches. So I don't have a problem with that. And I agree with Carve and with what Troy was saying. Arsenal right now look like warriors. They look like fighters. They remind me of the old Chelsea. They look like they're there for a scrap. If you want to mix it. Well, even the old Arsenal, yeah, absolutely. But see, the difference with the old Arsenal is that it was 1-0 to the Arsenal and then they'd shut up shop. I think there's more about this Arsenal. I think there's more creativity and invention. I think they're easier on the eye. But he is almost collecting good defenders. And they are so well drilled. And it doesn't just start at the back. The entire team is invested in making sure that they don't concede, which is why their record is so good.